Aretha Franklin was an American soul singer. She was dubbed the Queen of Soul, and she was hugely successful and influential. She grew up singing in Baptist church circles. She was soloing by the age of 12 and touring with her father, who was a traveling preacher and acted as her manager. She got a recording contract at the age of 18 in 1960 and has recorded many records, done many concerts, received many accolades and awards, and died at the age of 76 in 2018. She had a somewhat turbulent life. She conceived her first child at age 12. She had four children in total and two marriages, and a lifelong struggle with weight issues. But she was also known for her activism for race and women's rights and for Indigenous peoples around the world. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the 13th studio album by Aretha Franklin. It's my first time listening to it, but I knew of some of the songs. The songs that I knew were Think, which features in the Blues Brothers film, which is definitely the first time I came across that track. I Say a Little Prayer and You Send Me. And I probably know I Say a Little Prayer from the Aretha version. I know You Send Me by someone else, a different version. I can't actually, off the top of my head, remember who. Um, but yeah, so I knew those songs. I didn't know the rest of them. And this is, I would describe it as being soul fairly clearly. Memphis soul is a term that I might apply, but I might be wrong. But it's certainly Southern soul is a term that has been applied, and I can accept that. So let's talk about the band or the musical backing for a minute. Um, so they are. So I've been having a look at who's been involved, and the the name of the Muscle Shoals rhythm section has come up several times as I've looked at these people, and I take it that this is predominantly that group, the Muscle Shoals rhythm section, who I'm going to get this wrong. Sorry if I do. I think it's Stax House Band, along with the Memphis Horns and the Sweet Inspirations as backing singers, who were a vocal backing band. So this was kind of standard practice at the time for soul labels, is to have a house band, but they would have a name like this. So there was Muscle Shoals that I know of, and Booker T and the MGs that I know of, and the Wrecking Crew. And these were all, from my limited understanding, in-house bands. And I have a lot of respect for particularly the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. I have often found, when I found out that they're involved, that it has been albums where I've really enjoyed the instrumental musical side of it. Just a couple of names I'm going to pull out. There's Bobby Womack, who I've heard of on guitar, and King Curtis on tenor sax, who I've heard of. And it may not be exactly kind of perfectly the Muscle Shoals band, etc., but there's certainly a lot of their involvement. There's quite a few different instrumentalists involved. The band here are glorious. They're really good. So I, I like to bring these house bands out because, or to talk about them, because I think that they were often glossed over at the time, but they play often very well, and they on this album, I'd say they play with heart. They play well. It's not overdone. It's not. Egotistical, but it's just done in such a way that lifts the vocals and brings a nice feel to the whole thing. Um, Aretha, of course. So let's talk about her. She is also glorious. She's got an amazing voice, and presence. So it's not just for me. It's not just about the quality of her singing in terms of technical quality. She's got that, and she's got a really nice voice and a nice sound to it. But she brings life and soul into her performances. I think, the stuff that I've heard from her is this is kind of without exception. Is that it never feels like it's just a job. and it feels like she's giving it everything, and that she. I know that these are songs about different situations, and they're kind of, setting up various scenarios, if you like, and are not necessarily the scenarios that the singer has been involved in. And sometimes I feel a bit like this kind of era, 50s and 60s particularly, there was a lot of the idea of people singing songs written by other people, and often it feels to me somewhat superficial. And there's far too much of that superficial stuff around, to my mind. For me, this doesn't feel like that. So the songs are about love and relationships. It's a kind of fairly standard fare, but there's some good songwriting. I'm gonna pull out "Say a Little Prayer" as a standout. It's a song that I've always enjoyed. It's just got a nice kind of feel and concept to it. So um, I'm going to get a little bit personal now because I've done, as I usually do, two listens to this album. And the second listen was so as I'm recording this, the second listen was yesterday, and it was yesterday morning as I was driving in. Now, mostly I'm driving in because I'm going to work. Um, right at this moment in time, I'm actually on jury service. I'm not going to talk about anything that I'm involved in, but I am going to say that it's not necessarily a pleasant experience being on jury service. I'm in the middle of a case. I had so what are we today? It's actually a Wednesday when I'm recording this. It won't be a Wednesday when this comes out. It's going to be in a few days' time. So yesterday was Tuesday. I was listening to it on Monday. I had a fairly rough day with what was going on in the case that we got. So it was Tuesday morning. I was driving in, and this album was on, and I felt like it really lifted me in a way that I feel was really quite profound, and it's a way that a way that some music can do. And I just, I'm obviously concentrating on my driving, but I gave a part of myself to the listen and to the album, and it paid me back, and it lifted my spirit such that when I got in, I actually felt quite good, and that stayed with me all the way through the day. So that's an amazing thing that an album can do that. So that was my experience that I had. I would have loved this album anyway, but this has even more kind of elevated how much I've enjoyed this album in these listens. I'd love to know what you think of this album, so please do share your thoughts on the album. The next album that I'm going to review on the channel is Teenager of the Year by Frank Black. But that's it from me for now.